TV is measurably declining, and Zoomers are causing it a slow and painful death. But obviously, media isn't going anywhere, it's just shifted. And initially, that was to streaming services. I don't know if anybody else remembers this, but I remember the early days of services like Netflix. The promise was convenience and price. It was going to be this really convenient service you can get. You can get this one thing and watch everything you want to watch, and it was going to be relatively cheap. It was going to be much cheaper than going and getting a cable package to watch all of those same shows. But the Netflix honeymoon period is long over. It's sort of hard to say the service is dying, but they are certainly losing users, and also getting more expensive, which is causing them to lose more users, and it's not exactly a sensible business model. And you can't just have one service and watch everything you want to watch, because everybody has their own streaming service. There's Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, HBO, Apple TV, Paramount+, and tons more. And you might want to watch one show on each of these different services, meaning you have to pay a lot of money. Sure, you can go and cancel it when you're not using them, but most people don't bother to do that and just rack up these hundreds and hundreds of dollars of bills every single year. Let alone these archaic media licenses, which force these platforms to do region locking. Hey look, you got the streaming rights for Mr. Robot in the US, but do you have the Australian streaming rights and the German streaming rights and all of these other streaming rights? Nope. Well, you gotta region lock it and make sure those countries don't watch it. Because I can almost guarantee that if they weren't forced to do region locking, they wouldn't do it. They want more people to be on their service, and they want more people to be using it. But we're on the internet, so region locking is dumb and it doesn't make any sense. So you go and get yourself a VPN, you probably go and pay for it because you want to have a speed that is, reasonable to watch stuff, so it's another thing you have to go and pay for. And then you realize a lot of these services now are using VPN detection technology to make sure you can't go and do this, because the licenses are catching up and realizing that you're watching it from a country you shouldn't be watching it from. And rather than just accepting more money, they have to keep protecting these ridiculous licenses. But the regular person like you and me doesn't really care about this licensing nonsense. All we care about is the thing that I want to watch on this service? If yes, I will pay for it. If no, then I won't pay for it, unless it's in a different region, in which case I'll try using a VPN, but if that doesn't work, well, I'm not gonna pay for it. Long gone are the days where if something isn't on TV or you can buy it locally, then you can't watch it. So it's absolutely no surprise that media piracy continues to surge over the past couple of years. It's kind of hard to find exact numbers on this, but according to a report done by Akamai called The State of the Internet, in the first 9 months of 2021, there was 132 billion visits to pirate sites, and this was 16% higher than the previous year, keeping in mind that the previous year also had the peak of COVID, which already by itself was causing a massive spike in media consumption. Now, I'm not going to pretend like it's all sun and roses. Everyone's just going to sit around and watch all of these media giants and streaming services collapse while they're visiting the cat website and the Buccaneer compartment. But really, one of the major things stopping all of these services from colluding together, trying to destroy all of the small competition, and then just forcing their prices as high as people are willing to pay, is the fact that piracy exists, and the fact that everybody sort of knows how easy it is. Sure, it's gotten a little bit harder with a lot of streaming sites being pulled down, but most people who are at all internet savvy know how easy it is to get free content. But regulators are slowly but surely catching up, and as time goes on, it is going to get harder and harder. Recently, there was a case against a platform known as Screen.io, which had a really interesting result. This is a TV streaming platform aimed at Israelis living abroad, and the punishments went down the fairly traditional lines, at least initially. They were forced to pay $150,000 per copyrighted work on their service, and ultimately, they didn't show up to court because they knew they were going to lose anyway, so just let the punishment happen. And they were forced to pay $23 million in total damages. And all of that is fairly typical for a case like this. What isn't typical, though, is the extra thing tacked on the end. All ISPs and any other ISPs providing services in the United States shall block access to the website at any domain address known today or to be used in the future by the defendants by any technological means available on the ISP system. Basically, if this site starts up again, or someone goes and clones the site, or maybe the defendants go and make another streaming site, the ISPs in the United States have to go and block this site as soon as they become aware of it. Down here, we have a picture of the first list of ISPs, but the full list is 100 ISPs long, including basically every ISP that matters in the United States. But the list is also non-exhaustive and applies to every other ISP that operates in the US. This is the start and a change of trends. This is basically the beginning of the end of a site shutting down and then 1,000 clones appearing the next day. If this is applied consistently across every other piracy site, basically the intention is to stop that occurring. Obviously, without the correct technological means to detect these sites, it's very, very difficult to do, but it is the start of a change occurring. And a similar story occurred over in my neck of the woods, with Australia and the UK signing a trade deal, with part of that trade deal being about piracy. Now, this doesn't actually change the way that either country is addressing piracy, which already have relatively heavy-handed ways of doing so. It just ensures they're in agreement and is likely going to affect future trade deals with other countries. With the UK looking to strike another trade deal with the US, it's very likely that part of that is going to include a similar clause about piracy. Now, all of that might sound relatively scary if you're the sort of person who likes to pirate content. I can't speak on how the US is going to approach the situation, and I can't really speak on the way that UK approaches it either, but I can speak on Australia. And what I can say for Australia is, while the government likes to have this really strong stance, make it seem like they're really, really anti-piracy, when it comes to the actual implementations being done by the ISPs, it's not really that bad. It's sort of the ISPs taking the path of least resistance. What I mean is taking the easiest route possible to block the sites. And when you take the easiest route possible, it's also the easiest route to circumvent. At least allegedly. I don't know, I've never pirated content. When an ISP is given the ability to take any attempt to block a site, what that usually means they'll do is DNS block. So if you swap to a different DNS, which is rudimentary on every single operating system, the block no longer exists because they didn't actually block anything, they just removed it from their DNS. You don't even need to be technical enough to know what a DNS is. If you use a VPN, that does the exact same thing. But I am of absolutely no delusion that this is the way it's always going to be, that circumventing it is always going to be this easy. And I'm waiting for governments to catch up to the fact that ISPs are listening to them and being as lazy as they can physically be, and forcing them to actually do some proper sort of blocking, maybe forcing you to use a specific DNS so you can't get traffic out to the internet, or not letting VPNs go through the modem, or having some sort of enforced firewall system that users can't mess with. And piracy isn't going away. Anyone who thinks that is absolutely delusional. But as these methods come in, as these hurdles come in, it will get harder and harder for the average person to go and pirate content, to the point where it's probably too annoying and you're just gonna pay for it instead. But maybe I'm completely wrong, and this isn't just the golden age, this is just the way it's always going to be forever into the future. I would like that to be the case, but I really can't get behind that position. But if you think that's the case, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, I'm going to go and like the video. If you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, go check out my Patreon, subscribe, selling Pay, link in the description down below. I've got a podcast called Tech Over Tea. I've got a gaming channel called Brodie Robertson Plays. That's going to be it for me, and I'm out.